This is hands down one of the coolest pieces of Overland gear that I own, and it just got an upgrade. You may have already guessed it, but today we're talking about our beloved kitchen setup from SeaSucker. What you see in front of you is the 1.0, and they just dropped an exciting new upgrade, the 2.0. Listen, before we turn the heat up and get cooking on this review, I do got to tell you that SeaSucker is a channel sponsor of ours, and they did send this out to us to test out, review, and share with y'all. And let me tell you why I think that's a good thing. A, it drives upgrades like this, and B, it allows us to provide with you some information so you can make informed decisions, spend more time out on the trail adventuring. And as an added bonus at the end of this, I'll show you how to service one of these so it'll never stop sucking on you. I think you know what I mean. Okay, let's start breaking this down. Let's talk about what is the same, what is different, what you're gonna get with the 1.0 versus the 2.0, and hopefully answer the question as to whether or not this system is gonna work for you and whether or not you should upgrade to the 2.0 if you're already running the 1.0. I believe the most logical place to start this conversation is with the SeaSucker vacuum cups themselves, and if you're anything like me, you were maybe a little skeptical at first as to whether or not you're gonna dump your dinner all over the ground and now you gotta go to bed cold, tired, hungry, and sad. And listen, nobody wants that. So hopefully I can instill in you a little bit of confidence in the system because we've been running it for about 2 years now and it has never failed us. It's never wavered, it's held strong. The first misconception is these are suction cups and not vacuum cups. That's false. These are 100% vacuum cups. The biggest difference between the two is that a suction cup relies on you to do mechanical force to push it down, evacuate the air out of the seal, and as it's springing back up, it creates a suction point there. So that's going to give you a little bit of suction, but really not much. That's going to pop right off, and your dinner is going to be on the ground. We don't want that. Whereas the SeaSucker cups rely on this piston and the hole on the back of the SeaSucker cup right down here to evacuate the air out of the system. It's going to draw the seal down, and it's going to create a substantial amount of holding power. Allow me to demonstrate. Hopefully you can see that cup kind of going down there. And the orange band has disappeared, and this thing is not going anywhere. But it does release super easy, so don't worry about that. It's a little tab, pops right off, and now you're off to the races again. And I'll go through all that in greater detail here in a minute. Before we go too much further, I do want to point out that you'll find two different size vacuum cups on SeaSucker products. This is the 4.5-inch one. This is the 6-inch one that you'll find on the SeaSucker version 1.0 kitchen. The 4.5-inch cups have a load capacity of 40 pounds, whereas the 6-inch ones are 70 pounds each. That's a substantial amount of holding power, and the SeaSucker Kitchen 2.0 comes with multiple 4.5-inch cups for each unit that it's holding. And to quickly dive into some greater detail on the vacuum cups, I've had some people over the years ask me as to whether or not these are going to operate in cold or hot weather, because that kind of changes how the rubber interacts with the atmosphere around it, and it becomes stiff or brittle or super soft, whether or not it's going to hold the vacuum that you set it at. The answer to that is yes. These are claimed by SeaSucker to operate between 0 and 120 degrees Fahrenheit. So unless you're cooking dinner for Santa Claus at the North Pole, I think you're going to be just fine with how these operate in all weather conditions across the board. All right, and to install these on the side of your vehicle temporarily, you just want to make sure that you get this a little bit wet and make sure the surface is kind of clean. Listen, I won't lie to you. I have put these things on a muddy vehicle with absolutely no prep work. Dry seal, muddy vehicle, they held up just fine. They didn't leak. Sometimes I can be a little lazy, but SeaSucker recommends a wet seal, a relatively clean surface to get the best results. You should probably follow that guidance. So I say all that to say this: rest assured, your food and your dishes are not going to go anywhere. So let's dig into the kitchen itself. This is the 1.0 version that you see in front of you, and as awesome as it is massive. It's huge. It takes up a giant chunk of real estate on the side of the rig. And once it was installed for us, we could no longer access the doors on that side, and we had to do everything to the opposite side. Sometimes that creates a little bit of an issue and a little bit of a hassle. So what I think is awesome about the new system is that we can get away from that problem. And I'll explain all that in a second. But I think the best way to tackle this is to break it down piece by piece, talk about the differences and the similarities and things of that nature. First things first, this is the amount of stuff that you would need to figure out how to pack in order to bring the SeaSucker version 1 kitchen. It's a large amount of stuff. You got your sink, you got your trash can, you got your cutting board, your spice rack, your paper towel holder, you've got sink basin, you have your prep station basin. It's just a lot, right? This is a lot of stuff to try to pack up and put away, and we did it every time, but man, it takes up a lot of real estate in the rig itself versus the 2.0. So you can see the clear difference. There's a much flatter, smaller footprint with the 2.0 versus the 1.0 with all of its big bulky items and things that are awkwardly shaped that you have to try to pack and preserve so nothing gets ruined or broken. The win here, I think, goes to the 2.0. Let's jump right into our work surface, our prep station, our cutting board, whatever you want to call it. Let's talk about the differences between the 1.0 and the 2.0 because there's some substantial changes here that I think are going to blow your mind. So for consistency's sake, let's talk about the 1.0 first. It is a substantially smaller work surface. You have your puzzle piece cutouts here because, again, it relies on some of the other pieces down the line to help support it. You can use it independently, and we have done that, but it just is at its strongest when it's linked up with the rest of the system. It uses two 6-inch suction cups, so it's 140 pounds of load capacity, but it also requires the paper towel holder on the back side in order to kind of keep it level and support it with this knob here. And this is used to flatten it out and straighten it out. Couple deficiencies that I found with this system is that the rubber piece spins with the adjustment, so if you're not careful, you're going to end up scratching some swirl marks into the side of your rig. Not necessarily ideal, but I do love the fact that the paper towel holder is underneath the work surface. It makes everything quick, easy, ready to grab. You can tell that ours is well loved. We've used it a lot on the trail, and it has become one of the most valuable pieces of kit that we have. Let's talk about some of the features that come with this because it's not just a surface. So you also have your cutouts for hanging bags or drying bags or anything like that here. You have a cutout here that doubles as a handle or a way to hang a dish towel or drying towel, something like that. And then down here at the bottom, you have these little funky looking cutouts, and these are to put your knives in. So that keeps them out of the way, keeps the sharp sides away from you and the kids while you're working. And it just makes everything for a safer, cleaner environment while you're prepping your food. This big, beautiful board is the 2.0's work surface. It is substantially more surface area to work on, and we also got the version that has a slide-out drawer. You can get the basic version without the slide-out drawer if you don't think that you would need that. However, we like having the option of a stowable secondary work surface to kind of put things where we need them. So we have some interesting cutouts here as well. We have a handle area that can also double as a place to put a rag or a towel or something of that nature. You have your place to hang grocery bags or drying bags over here as well with the cutout. And then over here you have your handle that you could also use to drape something over. These two square cutouts down here are for the mounting system. The mounting system is where this thing really shines, and I'll show you that in a second. But we have an incredible amount of surface area to work on over here. And again, this can double as your cutting board itself, but if you really want to protect the surface like we do, we put down an additional thin vinyl cutting board over to use that. Just because we don't want to gouge this up and scratch this out and harbor bacteria and dirt. We just want to have a nice clean place to work on. And for me personally, I think the mounting system for the work surface is the star of the show. There's a ton of innovation and ingenuity and creativeness that went into designing this simple product. And I'll show you here in a second, bear with me. But if we're getting to the meat and potatoes of the thing, there are 3 4.5-inch vacuum cups on the back side of here. So if we're doing public math, it's like 120 pounds of load capacity. That's substantial. That's gonna hold anything you ask of it, even a small child. Not recommended to put small children up here, but I suppose you could. And what's cool about these vacuum cups is, unlike me and my diet, it doesn't care about small body rolls. There's some play in the location of the vacuum cups themselves to account for small variances in the vehicle's body, or whatever surface that you want to put these on. Like I said, maximum flexibility in how this is going to work. It's super awesome. So I bet you're wondering what's going on with the front side of this. We have a small handle, small grab handle. We have a rectangular cutout here, and that is to affix the work surface itself into it. And then it kind of snaps into these small upright grooves, holding it super secure. And then it's supported with this arm that comes out. And then you can twist this knob to apply some pressure to it. And then it's supported really securely across these 4 points of contact, allowing you a stable, secure work surface. And what's cool about this whole system here is that if you wanted to, you felt the desire to, you can take the work surface off, stow that in your rig, undo some of the tension on here, stow this arm up, twist this knob, applying some tension to keep it nice and secure. So you can keep this mounted on your rig for the duration of your overland adventure. And I think that is an absolute game changer. And I think that that is huge when it comes to easiness and convenience, especially if you know you're getting into camp late at night and you want to set up as minimum things as possible, but you still need to get some things done, this is one extra step that you don't even have to worry about. It's just there, loosen it up, drop the arm down, put your platform on, you're good to go. I honestly think one of the coolest features of this system is that you can design it to be exactly what you need it to be for your exact application. Maybe you didn't have the footprint required to have all of those pieces for the version 1.0, but you know that you just wanted the workstation, maybe the sink and the paper towel holder, and you can make that work. Now you can do that. Before you're relying on all those different puzzle pieces to create this strong and rigid system, now you have complete flexibility and creativity over what your system looks like. For instance, we can't seem to stop pulling into camp late at night. We still want to set up dinner and get prepared for the next day. So we added SeaSucker's heavy duty flashlight mount to our system so we can illuminate the work surface, we can wash dishes late at night or chop food safely and just cook with a super easy out of the way system. Pops right off and then we can stow it away nice and easy. One of the biggest selling points for us with the modularity of this system is the fact that we could install these, use them, and still use our doors on our rig. That's a huge bonus feature for us. Hey look, I don't want to interrupt your video or nothing, but I want to offer a quick pro tip. If you stagger these at different heights, you can still get full extension on your doors. Full access to your vehicle. This is so cool. SeaSucker is constantly making these small little tweaks or adjustments that pay huge dividends, and I think that's awesome. One of the biggest things that they did when moving from the 1.0 to the 2.0 system was the distribution of weight. Before they had these two cups side by side in this linear fashion, which allowed for some up and down flex of the system, putting all the sheer weight on the same plane. So now they've set the vacuum cups up in a way that distributes the weight over a larger footprint, allowing for more stability. We no longer have the up and down movement of these vacuum cups you did in version 1. Version 2 is much more rigid. So let's talk about the paper towel holder real quick. This is version 1.0, is used to support the cutting board like I talked about, but the concept remains the same. We have these two legs that come off the main body, and that is used to put your paper towels over. And then we have this end cap that is used to be pressed on there and hold the paper towels securely on there. So I didn't install the faceplate all the way because I want to talk about what this little arm is on the backside. Now I will be the first to admit that even I was a little confused at first. This little arm is used to keep your paper towel roll whole. It makes it so there is some tension on the paper towels themselves, so when the wind picks up across the campsite like it inevitably does, it doesn't unravel your entire paper towel roll, and now you have this streamer going across the campsite like you're in a parade. Nobody wants that. Paper towels are expensive. This is going to keep your paper towels exactly where you left them. Even the 2.0 has the same features. Super user friendly, easy to use. The paper towel holder is a no-brainer for us. We're going to be adding that to our kitchen kit as well. So the million-dollar question remains, if we move from the 1.0 to the 2.0 kitchen, what are we sacrificing? What are we leaving behind? And the only thing that I can see of any real great value is this little Tupperware prep station. But even this is easily solved. You can just put this little Tupperware container in the sink basin or pull out your side drawer, rest it right up on there, and now you have it. And you're also missing one more location to store a knife, but honestly, who is cooking with 3 different types of knives? Typically, we only use one and we figure it out. So I don't think you're sacrificing anything, but I think you're gaining a substantial amount. You're gaining things like packability, portability, modularity, and customization of your system. You're gaining a larger work surface. You're gaining the ability to leave components on your vehicle as you go on an adventure, and so many things to list, like being able to use your doors again and not relying on the other components of the system to support one another. The 2.0 system for me is a no-brainer. I loved the 1.0, and I just know that I'm going to love the 2.0 even more based on the changes and upgrades that they've made, and I can't wait to start using this thing on the trail. Time to nerd out for a second. I'm going to show you how to service your vacuum cups, and this process applies to both the 4.5 inch and the 6 inch vacuum cups, and I love the fact that SeaSucker lets us do this. It really helps prolong the life of these things indefinitely and keeps them super, super sucky. So with every SeaSucker product that you purchase, it's going to come with an extra piston assembly and a bottle of lube, and this process really couldn't be any easier. You don't need to do it right out of the packaging, but as you use these things and as they get dirt and grime and rainwater and things like that in them, you're going to want to do it. One of the major indicators that you see that's going to tell you it's time to service your vacuum cups is no matter how much you suck these down, you're always going to see a portion of their orange band. That should tell you that it's time to check these things out and clean them out. So how do you do it, you ask? Well, you just take the plunger portion and you pull it out. It's that easy. On the plunger portion, there is a rubber O-ring right around this portion here, just above that groove. What you want to do is make sure that this whole assembly here is clean of all debris, dirt, and things like that, dust and grime. Simple water should do it. Rinse it off, dry it off really well. Maybe take a really soft bristle toothbrush and clean that up. Then you want to go ahead and take your lube tube that SeaSucker so generously provides and just apply a thick coating of it around the rubber O-ring itself. And from that point, you just want to take your male end, insert it into your female end, press hard. She's reinstalled. Now, if for some reason that doesn't work and you're still not sucking like you used to, and you find that you have to replace your entire piston assembly, take your screwdriver, take off all 4 of these screws, then your cover comes right off. Don't lose your screws. You just pull the piston assembly out, take your new one, take the protective orange cover off, push it back into the hole, reassemble with your closed end on the closed end of the piston, push down gently, put your screws back in, and again, you're sucking just like you used to.